Yo, welcome back, everybody. This is Wait, Why Can't I Leave? By JazzTazz. Chapter 64, More Than Words. Katsuki sat down at his desk with a huff. He'd finally gotten into UA, the only one from his middle school to do so. He felt like he should be proud of himself. And he obviously was, but something was missing, and he knew exactly who it was. Wasn't sure that. It didn't take long for the bastard who'd gone to a prestigious school to reveal himself, yelling at Katsuki to take his feet off his desk for whatever stupid reason. He scoffed, swearing up a storm directed at the extra who thought that Katsuki Bakugo would listen to him. All because this idiot had gone to a better middle school. He tuned the extra out, looking around the room to see what other types of extras he'd be dealing with. Katsuki rolled his eyes. The class probably wouldn't be the worst. At the very least, they didn't seem as boring as the extras in middle school. At the very least, they should have better quirks. Some might be good enough for Katsuki to stop calling them extras. Maybe. Definitely better than that extra with long fingers, or the extra who could pull his eyes out of their sockets. The door opened again, revealing what should have been just more extras, until Katsuki made eye contact with one of them, Deku. Before Katsuki could even get out of his seat, Deku and the two extras he'd entered the room with were gone. Just gone. They hadn't run away, not in the literal sense anyway. All that was left was some static in the air. He got up anyway. The stupid nerd had to come back. If the UA uniform was anything to go by, why Deku of all people had that uniform made no sense to him. Katsuki hadn't seen Deku at the entrance exam. He hadn't seen his name on the list of who got what points in the acceptance letter. And there was no way in hell he'd gotten in through the recommendation exam. Deku didn't know any of the heroes, and even if he did, Deku was quirkless. One of the extras he was with must have used their quirk to make them disappear, and Katsuki was going to find out which one did it and make sure they knew their place. Just as Katsuki had predicted, Deku and the two extras reappeared. One moment, Katsuki was lunging at Deku, then he was tied up in some kind of cloth-like rope, attached to a weird-looking homeless dude who was apparently meant to be their teacher or something. The purple extra lied about Deku having a quirk. Before Katsuki could correct said extra, the homeless-looking teacher threatened to expel Katsuki if he attacked another student. He internally rolled his eyes, deciding to back down for now. He refuses to let Deku be the reason he's expelled. Ignoring the whole not allowed to beat up other students, Katsuki decided that he did like this teacher. The class wouldn't be attending orientation. Instead, they would be allowed to use their quirks to prove how strong they were. Katsuki thought that Deku would obviously fail. He was quirkless last time he checked. That's what was meant to happen. Deku would be expelled. This test proving that whatever pity place they had given him wasn't deserved. Yet, when it was finally Deku's turn on the 50-meter dash, he won. Deku beat the extra with a speed quirk, though what seemed to be through what seemed to be teleportation. He stomped down the rage building inside him. Katsuki refused to let Deku, of all people, be the reason he was expelled. Deku had lied all these years about his quirk. Katsuki was going to get to the bottom of this. He just had to find the right time to pounce, yell at Deku about his teleportation. Wait, no. His apparently internet-related quirk, thanks to those extras Deku walked in with talking about it. Regardless, Katsuki was going to figure out what happened. Was it all his fault? We need to talk, Izuku. He froze, staring up at the very person who had, at the very least, tried and occasionally succeeded at making his life a living hell, who had been calling him Deku for almost as long as Izuku could remember. Yet, Bakugo had very clearly said Izuku. Bakugo wasn't meant to call him that. Izuku had only just really gotten used to the fact that no one called him Deku anymore. When he saw Bakugo through the robots in the entrance exam, he knew deep down that he would be called Deku again this year. Sure, he'd forgotten about it right after the exam, but just seeing Bakugo was enough to remind him of the name. But Bakugo didn't call him that this time. Was he changing for the better? Izuku finally decided to just push down that thought for now. Future him could analyze it. Yes, Bakugo? A quick look crossed Bakugo's face, though Izuku wasn't entirely sure which emotion or even mix of emotions it was. It finally settled on rage, which was what Izuku was expecting, unfortunately. Why the fuck did you lie about your quirk? Yeah, Izuku was expecting that too. Probably would have been a good idea to reveal the whole quirk thing before he changed schools, just to prevent this kind of thing now. It'd likely be harder to hide the burns from Aizawa and Yamada. Doesn't matter. Not like you would have believed me anyway. Izuku rolled his eyes, annoyance creeping onto his face after realizing how much harder it would be to deal with Bakugo. It was pretty easy to deal with him when Izuku was quirkless, when Izuku was going home to an empty apartment. But now, Bakugo knew he had a quirk, which, after getting over the initial shock, will probably cause him to see Izuku as even more of a threat than before. Add on the fact that Izuku did apparently have people who cared for him for some reason. He cooled his expression after a moment, figuring that he'd just teleport away if needed. Doesn't matter. Fucker, just tell me the truth. Bakugo went right into Izuku's face at the end, spit hitting his face like rain. Absolutely disgusting. Izuku wiped it away, deciding that, fuck it, future him can deal with the consequences. I knew you hadn't changed. He teleported into the internet before Bakugo could react. Like, what the actual fuck, dude? Ding. Shit. Chapter 65. I'm about to blow. Chat name, League of No Dads. Teenage dirtbag. Like, what the actual fuck, dude? Soda K. Question mark. Teenage dirtbag. Could you just ignore that? Soda K. Okay. Teenage dirtbag. Huh. Weird. I wasn't expecting that. Soda K. Why? Teenage dirtbag. Normally, my yells into the void ends up in a random GC with pro heroes who pester me until I tell them why. Soda K. Why don't you just ignore them? Teenage dirtbag. Nedzu. Soda K. Yeah. Teenage dirtbag. Which reminds me, normally a second message sends. Soda K. Yeah. Teenage dirtbag. When I heard the message notification, I cursed, which normally sends it to the GC too. Wait. BRB. Chat name. The pros and cons. Blurr. Shit. Drugs. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Cockatoo. What happened? Jazz. What the fuck, Blurr? We just finished school for the day. Not a cop. Oh god, I have so much reading to do. Speed. Shouldn't have ignored the GC. Wheeljack. You good, Blurr? Coffee. At Almighty Leader. Blurr. Whoops. Almighty Leader. Blurr. Blurr. Yes. Almighty Leader. Smiley face. Blurr. No murder. Almighty Leader. Sad face. Cockatoo. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Drugs. Oh, wow. Blurr. I wasn't expecting that to work, to be honest. Which actually reminds me. At Not a Cop. Where have you been? You haven't typed anything in the chat for a hot minute. Not a Cop. Don't think you can change the subject that easily. Blurr. Well, it was worth a try, but I am genuinely curious. What kind of case keeps you from looking at the GC even when you aren't working? Not a cop. No snooping in my files. Blurr. I forgot I could just do that. Not a cop. Shit. Drugs. Back on topic. Blurr. No. Cockatoo. Yes. Wheeljack. Come on, Blurr. Jazz. Yeah, come on, Blurr. Blurr. I hate you all. Speed. Even me? Blurr. Did I stutter? Jazz. You used to. Blurr. Best friend privileges revoked. Speed is now my bestie. I revoke the hatred towards Speed and Speed only. Speed. I am very honored. Jazz. The utter betrayal. Drugs. Back on topic! Like, what the fuck, Blurr? Drugs has been muted for 1 hour. Blurr. Smiley face. Cockatoo. Run for your lives! She has been unleashed! Speed. Shit. Not a cop. Fuck! Chat name, League of No Dads. Teenage dirtbag. Anyway. Sodake. Question mark. Teenage dirtbag. Just escaped answering the Pro Hero GC for a hot minute. Not forever, just a moment. Sodake. Well, now I'm curious. Teenage dirtbag. About how I escaped or why I'm attempting escaping? Sodake. Yes. Teenage dirtbag. Long story short, douchebag from my childhood is in my class again. Super selfish dude demanded to know why I changed schools, as if it wasn't obvious why, and yelled at me because I lied about my quirk. Sodake. Would you say this person could potentially become a villain? Teenage dirtbag. Oh, hell no. And I don't mean that in the don't tempt him, or I don't think he's a villain way. He's that determined to be a hero, even if he isn't all too heroic. Sodake. Damn. Teenage dirtbag. And anyway, he'd be a horrid teammate. Runs right into the battle without explaining his plan to anyone, looks down on anyone who even half a level below him, and overall could be easily decapitated. Sodake. Yeah. Teenage dirtbag. Anyway, thanks for listening to all that. I've gotta attend my funeral now. Sodake. Have fun. Chat name, the pros and cons. Blurr. How much murder and carnage has happened since I left? Speed. I've run into a bit of a problem. Blurr. Lol. Speed. I wasn't even trying to make a pun there. It's actually serious. Blurr. Oh? Speed. I just discovered I can run on water. Blurr. Oh, cool! Speed. Not cool, I'm in South Korea now. Blurr. Damn. Speed. Zashi is dead. Now Masa is hiding somewhere in Tartarus. Nem already knew that. Even Sho has been compromised. Just unmute her. Blurr. But then I'll have to talk about today. Sad face. Speed. Blurr. Blurr. Fine. Drugs has been unmuted. Drugs. Fucking finally! Tensei, how the fuck did you get to Korea? Speed. I don't know, okay? Drugs. Just hurry up and get back to Japan. Blurr. Yeah, Tensei. Get back to Japan. Drugs. You're not off the hook. Blurr. Sad face. Drugs. Spill now or else. Blurr. Just an idiot in my class. Kinda sucky dude. Knew him before UA. etc. Jazz. Murder time. Blurr. No murder. Drugs. But we could commit murder. Blurr. You're meant to be a hero, like a good example of what to do. Drugs. Shh. Blurr. What does not a cop have to say about this? Not a cop. Proceed, Nem. Drugs. Happy face. Blurr. Bad midnight. You don't even know what I'm talking about here. Drugs. Almighty leader. Almighty leader. Happy face. Blurr. Crying sad face. Almighty leader. Sad face. Izuku finally left the internet, going through the Wi-Fi in Aizawa and Yamada's home. They'd likely been home pretty soon anyway, unless Midnight actually did do a murder on them just to get their phones. Might take them a bit longer if that was actually true, which would hopefully give Izuku plenty of time to cool off from the whole dealing with an asshole part of his afternoon. It would probably be good to talk to someone about it, but it wasn't like he could do so easily. Aizawa and Yamada already knew that Blurr was a little pissed off at some asshole. If they were reading the chat properly, at least. Toshi and Mei would already somewhat know of his problem, but it's not like he wanted them to go after Bakugo or anything. He somewhat talked to Shigaraki about it, but Izuku hadn't wanted to go on and on about it to a villain who would be biased considering the whole "this asshole's planning on being a hero" bit. It honestly probably wouldn't hurt to join yet another random group chat to yell his feelings into the void, but then again, that might not work out too well, especially considering the whole random aspect of it. Izuku wouldn't want to accidentally join a Yakuza group chat or anything. Before Izuku could dwell on it any further, Gribo in all his chaos appeared and rubbed against his legs. Izuku decided that Gribo was in fact a sufficient distraction from his problems, picked the cat up and made his way over to the couch. He grabbed the remote off the coffee table just before he sat down and started scrolling through the different streaming platforms Aizawa and Yamada owned. It didn't take long for Izuku to realize how many movies he hadn't seen thanks to Inko. He had been given an account on each of the different streaming services, which he hadn't really used until now, so all he had was the default "everyone likes this move" stuff. Izuku recognized a couple things due to the old vines and internet memes he liked to watch, but the rest of it was completely foreign to him. As if reading his mind, Gribo took the remote from him and pressed a couple buttons. A movie called How to Train Your Dragon popped up and started playing. Izuku already suspected that Gribo had a quirk of some kind, which, thanks to this, he's going to assume it has something to do with intelligence. Either way, Izuku could contemplate Gribo's quirk later. Right now, he was going to focus on the definitely very important movie playing on the TV in front of him. It didn't take long for Izuku to decide that this was going to be his new favorite movie. A small bit of information revealed that it was a pre-quirk movie, although Inko robbed him of pretty much every movie imaginable. Pre-quirk media was something Izuku always loved, even if he was only really exposed to bits and pieces like Vines. Aizawa and Yamada came home at some point. Izuku wasn't really paying that much attention to them. He was in the middle of watching one of the many shows, How to Train Your Dragon Race to the Edge. And that is another... What? Oh, shit, sorry. And that is another chapter done. 2 chapters completed. And that is all there is as of right now, and I think it is being updated pretty frequently now. I saw something in the last chapter, when it finished, and I wanted to say something so bad, but, gotta keep it going until the end. So, let me go back to the end real quick. It was, oh, yes, what caught my eye was, I'm literally about to go to the next chapter, and I see I've just gotten into Epic the Musical, and my brain goes, oh my god, I'm addicted to Epic too, what a coincidence, as if it's not, some big thing that a lot of people know. Oh gosh, I don't know why I thought that. I don't know why that's like the first thing that went to my mind. But, yes. That is chapter 64 and 65. Yay! I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.